Good afternoon and welcome to ZTN News Blitz. A look at our top stories. Zim allows returnees to find private isolation facilities. Stray lions wreak havoc in Zim villages. Angola billionaire Isabel dos Santos wants assets unfrozen. And in sport, Sebastian Vettel departure from Ferrari raises eyebrows. A pride of stray lions is wreaking havoc in Bikita and Chipinge districts after they broke loose from one of the conservancies in the area. On Monday, a miner was attacked in Bikita and was fortunate to survive. So far, almost 10 cattle have been killed in the two districts. The lions allegedly escape from protected areas by digging holes underneath the perimeter fence and stray into villages where they kill livestock before making their way back to their sanctuary. But this time, the big cats opted not to go back. Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Management Authority spokesperson Tinashe Farao said a team of rangers was dispatched this morning to track the animals.
We have received a report in Bikita of lions terrorizing villagers in Makingu. We have deployed our officers there on the ground, and we are still waiting for further reports. But on the same note, we have also received another report in Chipinge where a boy was attacked by lions, but fortunately he survived the attack. We are encouraging communities to give us as much information as possible, and we will respond within the shortest possible time. It's very unfortunate. This is the result of the overpopulation of the animals that we've always been saying. I think we are now sounding like a broken record.
Zimbabwe says returning residents who can afford alternative quarantine facilities will no longer be forced into government-run COVID-19 quarantine centers. Information Minister Monica Motswangwa said in the event that returnees want private facilities as quarantine centers and are willing to pay, government will assess the facilities ranging from hotels to lodges before approving.
That the returnees who offer to pay for themselves be allowed to do so on condition that the facility is secure and subject to inspection by health and security officials.
Meanwhile, over 700 returning residents coming from the UK, South Africa and Botswana have been placed under mandatory quarantine at government cost. Secretary for Information Nick Mangwana took to microblogging site Twitter to announce the development, adding that the available quarantine facilities are now stretched. Our correspondent Ndaka Majaka is at one of the government-run quarantine centers, from where she gives us more.
Behind us is one of the facilities being used by the Zimbabwean government to house returning residents as well as international travelers undergoing mandatory quarantine. Presently, Zimbabwe has got 64 of these centers. According to a test plan released by the government of Zimbabwe, testing at these centers happens on the 1st, the 8th and the 21st day. Lately, travelers as well as returning residents have been complaining about the living conditions at some of these centers. So in response to this, the Zimbabwean government has said that those who can afford are now free to fund alternative facilities. Of course, these facilities are going to be subject to Ministry of Health inspections, and they should also adhere to World Health Organization dictates for isolation centers. We'll come back to you in the studio.
Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare Minister Professor Paul Mavima revealed that a total of 125 million Zimbabwe dollars has so far been used by government to cater for the returnees. Moving on, the number of people who have recovered from COVID-19 in Zimbabwe has risen to 12, up from 9 reported last week. So far, 37 people have tested positive as Zimbabwe breached the 20,000 mark for COVID-19 tests. The death toll remains at 4. According to latest statistics, 12,869 rapid tests and 11,058 polymerase chain reaction or PCR diagnostic tests have been carried out since March. This brings to 23,927 the total number of cases carried out so far. The capital, Harare, is the epicenter with 14 cases, followed by Bulawayo, which has 12 cases. Mashonaland East and West provinces have 5 cases, while Matabeleland North has 1 case. The Zimbabwe Republic Police says over 26,000 people have so far been arrested for violating the national lockdown regulations. Most of the arrests are for unnecessary movements and failure to put on face masks. Offences which attract fines of $200 and $500 Zimbabwe dollars respectively. Among those arrested were illegal money changers who were back at their usual spots. The number of offenders has surged since lockdown conditions were relaxed a week ago. Meanwhile, the police have intensified patrols at illegal money-changing hotspots in Zimbabwe's capital, Harare. Blessing Manati is at one of the hotspots to give us more.
Now, the second phase of Zimbabwe's lockdown continues, a lockdown that was announced by Zimbabwe's government with relaxed conditions that allow for business operators to also open in addition to the essential services that were operating even during the lockdown. Heavy police presence in the central business district, especially in the morning, just to check on the guidelines that were recommended by government, the sanitizing and also the temperature checks at points of entry. It will just seem that illegal money foreign exchange dealers have also made their way into the central business district, and this has prompted the police also to try and get on top of the situation. The Zimbabwe Republic Police also announced on their official Twitter page that more than 26,000 people had been arrested as of yesterday for flouting the lockdown regulations. Reporting for ZTN News, I'm Blessing Manatsi.
Zimbabwe's Foreign Affairs Minister Sibusiso Moyo says the country's diplomats should focus on sourcing foreign direct investment in their deployments. He was addressing envoys attending a diplomatic training workshop in the capital, Harare.
Therefore, expected to fully prioritize the inward FDI to promote trade, to source new markets for products, and proactively promote Zimbabwe as a tourist destination. And if you check the mandate of the ministry, it encompasses all these issues under national interest.
Lesotho's Prime Minister Thomas Thabane says he intends to resign tomorrow because of old age. He's accused of murdering his estranged wife, allegations that caused his coalition government to crumble on Monday, leaving him without enough seats to continue governing. The parliamentary speaker consequently announced that he had to step down by 22 May. Mr. Thabane and his current wife, Messiah, deny involvement in the murdering of Dipolelo Thabane, who was shot several times outside her home in 2017 on the eve of Mr. Thabane's inauguration. Moving on, the billionaire daughter of Angola's former president is calling for her assets in the country and Portugal to be unfrozen. Isabel dos Santos says there is evidence the state, the Luanda Civil Court and Supreme Court colluded against her using fabricated evidence. She says this included a forged passport in her name bearing the signature of late martial arts expert Bruce Lee. The courts have not commented. In sports, Zimbabwe international footballer Jimmy Dzingai is one multi-talented football player. Guess which musician he used to play drums for?
I once played drums for Japresa, you asking, and I think music is something that is within our family, and it's something that is within my DNA as well.
Now you can watch the rest of the interview today on Sports Daily as the former Yada defender reveals more. Still in sport, Mercedes Formula One chief Toto Wolff says his team can't ignore Sebastian Vettel's departure from Ferrari. Vettel's shock departure is set to spark several moves. Carlos Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo are leading candidates to replace Vettel if they jump ship from their current teams. That could also lead to a number of moves. And that's all we had for you on ZTN News Blitz. Remember, we are on all social media platforms. Like and share our pages for the latest in news. News Blitz is back tomorrow, but for now, stand by for Sports Daily.
there is nothing on the field of play, but so much to talk about in the world of sport. Hello and welcome to ZTN Sports Daily, where you get the latest stories from around the world. My name is Howard Msonda, and we've got plenty coming your way. Coming up on the show, Warriors defender Jimmy Zinga reveals he once played drums for Ja Praiser. Will Elvis Moyo ever get his dream fight against Derek Chisora? High jump champion calls for proper bridge from high school athletics to the professional platforms. And as the dates of the 2020 Olympic Games changed, it sparked a chain of sport postponements. What is next for athletics at international level? Zimbabwe rugby captain Brendan Mandivenga believes sport will not be the same in empty stadiums. Mandivenga is based in Italy, one of the countries worst affected by the pandemic. His comments come at a time when there are mixed feelings over restarting sport in empty stadiums or cancelling sport altogether.
Run through season calendars, and most sports haven't been able to finish their season, such as ours here in Italy. They've had to cancel the whole season and have to start again. And it's definitely going to have an impact on how things end and how things begin next season. Other sports as well, they haven't quite cancelled their seasons. They've just delayed the end of the season. And even when things do get better, I think sport will be impacted greatly. Such as, I think, sports such as the Premier League or the Premiership and rugby in the UK, most games may be finished behind closed doors without any fans. So obviously that'll be difficult for teams to obviously play their rugby without any fans, as it's quite hard to play without fans. And playing in empty stadiums is obviously going to be different to what people are normally going to be used to playing in. So it's obviously going to be key.
Let's now move on to boxing, shall we? And former World Boxing Council African heavyweight champion Elvis the Bomber Moyo still dreams of fighting highly ranked Derek Chisora. Mugobe Chigara gives us the report.
A fight that Elvis Moyo dreams about, him against another Zimbabwean-born boxer, Derek Chisora.
Just before retirement, I can get to fight Chisora, because I mean there is no heavyweight in Zimbabwe now, other than me, which is obviously on my level, and there is Chisora, who is Zimbabwean, but he's at a very, very top level.
Chisora, a professional British boxer, has held multiple heavyweight titles in the past. Elvis, on the other hand, is a former World Boxing Federation Africa heavyweight champion. Elvis justifies his challenge.
But I'm looking to, box, have a couple of big fights. Not big fights, but the fight, proper names. I'm at a stage where I'm fighting mostly upcoming boxers.
Will the Elvis-Derek show see the light of the day? That is the biggest question.
From boxing, let's now move on to rowing. And one of the athletes that have over the years raised Zimbabwe's flag high in rowing at the Olympic Games is Mikey Thornycroft. She qualified for the 2012 Summer Olympics and the 2016 edition in a single sculls event. Like any other athlete, the postponement of the 2020 edition in Tokyo is disappointing. But for now, she gives us one of her memorable moments.
My top Olympic moments, firstly, my first Olympics in London. I guess everything was just so special, just walking in the village and the dining hall the size of a football field with every type of food you could ask for. But my favourite memory from that games was the opening ceremony. Just walking into that stadium, the atmosphere was just so exciting, it was so electric, and just, yeah, that's definitely my first memory. And then my other special memory is from my semi-final in Rio. It was just the best race. Everything just came together, everything that I'd worked for and planned, and just my mental prep. And yeah, it was just the best race I've ever had.
So for that interview in full tomorrow on Sports Daily, we give you that with Mike Keane, Tony Croft. Don't miss that out. Now, with the coronavirus pandemic slowing the flow of world sport to a drop, players and fans have been left crying out for a taste of sport. ZTN's Lance Yande scours weird, wacky sporting news amid coronavirus lockdown.
Oh, thanks, Howard. Now, as we count the numerous days and weeks of extended lockdown, we all are itching to get out of our beds, couches and homes so we can get a taste of sport. But fear no more, as I've found what we all have been craving for, some sport munchies, or should I say sports stories. It's all still the same. Now, so our favorite football superstars are also looking like ninjas with their COVID-19 masks as they head back to full training. Everyone can't wait for the games to begin. But for now, let's look at Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez, who, by the way, was once punished twice for a bite offense in his career. Now, we all know that ridiculous bite by Luis Suarez back in the day. I mean, that game, everyone in the world was watching. And then you had the audacity to just bite someone. I think it was the Italian defender, Chiellini, who got bit by Luis Suarez there. A carnivore, should I say? Not really. But that mask, definitely with this pandemic happening around, he won't be biting anyone soon. So let's go to baseball, not the Pro League, but a little of a father and son at the backyard sort of baseball. But since it's in the United States of America, some areas are open for people to break a leg. Check out this father's love and joy as his son hit his first home run. Oh, look at that hug. Isn't that so sweet? I wish if my father was around the time I used to play baseball actually back in the day, hitting home runs, and Daddy will be there just to give you a hug and make sure that, you know, everything is okay. But coaching skills are different. Zimbabwean fathers would be like, why are you batting that ball so fast? But anyway, it is what it is. Now we move a bit closer to home. Local Falcon boy and former Harare Sports Club prop, Clopas Kundiona, who joined the Sharks franchise in South Africa during his time with the Zimbabwe Rugby Academy, could be on his way to be the next beast. Truly speaking, this kid is really a beast. He has been working during lockdown, and here's the clip.
I'm my best chance on my worst day. I'm going right now. Back against the wall, a one-man riot. Hold my ground and declare my defiance. Hold my ground and declare my defiance.
All right, it's been interesting, but as you see, Clopas is only 21 years old. He actually turns 21 this year, and he weighs 120 kgs. And he just lifted, well, we can add Howard, we can add me, we can add the production crew behind the scenes, all of them. They can all be lifted by this boy. And still, he's got so much potential. He could actually be the next beast.
welcome back to Sports Daily. Well, many thanks to Lance for scavenging the internet to bring us those hilarious tidbits. So I'm trying to think, should I go the beast mode and be able to lift like what you were saying, you know, the production crew and everybody else, like Cleopas Kundona, or maybe I need a mask and be the ninja that Luis Suarez is, as Lance said. Well, I don't know. I'll try to choose and come up with one. But let's move on with Sports Daily. Zimbabwe international Jimmy Zingai is one multi-talented footballer. If he's not on the field of play, he's certainly showing another talent elsewhere. That he's a talented musician is no longer a secret. But revelations that he once played drums for Jah Praiser is something else for Aka.
I once played drums for Jah Praiser, you ask him, and I think music is something that is within our family, and it's something that is within my DNA as well, you know. I've imparted this from my father, to tell you the truth. You know, my father is a musician, he writes notes, understand. Most of the songs that are being sung in Roman Catholic, they were composed by my father, you know. So it's something that I've imparted from my father. So it's something that is running within the blood, understand. Yeah, when I'm with the national team, you know, I always motivate the guys, you know, being with them, bringing morale in the camp. Even when we are going to play, I'll be singing, you know. For us, I'll be singing, you understand.
You know, I always wondered why Jimmy Zingai always composes songs when the Warriors are in camp or wherever he's playing. Because I remember when he was with Yada, he used to compose songs that they would sing just to uplift their morale. Now I've found out why. Now, Diamonds captain Patson Jaure's road accident recently came as a shock to many of his fellow footballers and the country at large. The worst was feared. Jimmy Zingai composed a song for the Warriors defender.
I just thought of composing something, you know, as a way of uplifting his spirit, you know, as a way of encouraging him, understand? So I just thought, let me just do a simple video. Let me just compose a simple song, just encouraging my friend, understand, with what has happened, you know. But I know God is doing wonderful works. He's coming back to the field of play very soon. I heard that he's recovering very fast.
Zimbabwe celebrated 40 years of independence this year, last month, on the 18th of last month. Zingai takes us through what he thinks are the great moments since 1980.
My top 3 sporting moments is when our sister Kirst Coventry was given a gold medal. In fact, when he won the gold medal at the Olympics, and also our first qualification to go to the AFCON with our captain Peter Ndlovu, you know, the squad, and also the third one. It was my first time also to me qualifying with the national team, going to the Africa Cup of Nations, you know.
And the Warriors defender gave us one song for independence for Zimbabwe.
Happy independence, Zimbabwe. Happy 40 years, Zimbabwe. Keep yourself clean, Zimbabwe. Keep yourself clean, Zimbabwe.
The postponement of the Olympic Games from this year to 2021 has caused a lot of events to be pushed back to avoid a clash. The latest of events to be affected was the FINA World Championships, initially set for the summer of 2021 in Fukuoka in Japan, and now set for the 13th to the 29th of May in 2022. The 2020 European Aquatics Championships, the 2021 Commonwealth Youth Games, and the 2020 European Junior Aquatics Championships have not been spared by the coronavirus pandemic and that's change of Tokyo 2020 dates. So, well, when you look at other sporting events that have been changed, it's been really a lot of, shifting and changing because of this pandemic. Let's just hope that we'll be able to resume sport, because everybody is just waiting for the resumption of sporting activities. Our Zimbabwe senior men's national champion and record holder in high jump, Munyaradzi Chadenga, believes there is need to help athletes transition from high school to be professionals. Munyaradzi, who also works with schools, and admits there is huge potential there and is one of many athletes grounded due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Realize that potential as early as possible and develop the athletes as soon as possible. And so what's needed is proper structures for the kids. What are proper structures? It means a safe haven for them. After school, where are they going? Do they have a club to go to? Is there a gym that they need to attend? All those things should be taken into account. So the potential is there, but what's looking now is there infrastructures, there are facilities for them to train and better their talent. But the potential is there. Another thing that's also a hindrance for potential athletes now is who is coaching you. You know, what you need is a good coach, a coach who knows what he is doing, who provides a program for you, not in someone who takes care of you, who gives you attention, not just anyone who just comes and then does nothing.
Yeah, that's right, Munyaradzi. We need proper structures, not only structures, we also need proper equipment, you know, even the AstroTurf where athletes can go and do the athletics, where there is high jump, it's javelin, short put, whatever you think of. We just need the right equipment for that. And recently we had the Minister of Sport, Kirsty Coventry, talking about the refurbishment that's going on at the National Sports Stadium, and she said, let's just not make it for football, but let it be for multi-sport like athletics. Whatever sport you think of should also be catered at the National Sports Stadium. And on that note, we've come to the end of Sports Daily for today. We'll be back again tomorrow with another lowdown on what's happening in the world of sport. My name is Howard Msonza. Join us again tomorrow.